모닝스페셜이 선정한 모닝 헤드라인스.
The US Treasury Department has revealed which cars will be eligible for the new electric vehicle tax credits under the Inflation Reduction Act, with 7 foreign car makers, including Korea's Hyundai, and Kia failing to make the list.
미국 정부가 인플레이션 감축법에 따라 보조금을 받을 수 있는 전기차 대상 차종을 발표했습니다. 현대와 기아를 포함해 7개의 외국 자동차 제조업체는 명단에 포함되지 못했습니다.
The Korean government has published for the first time a report on how the country is adapting to climate change in accordance with the recommendations by the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change.
우리나라가 기후변화에 어떻게 적응하고 있는지를 담은 정부 보고서가 처음으로 발간됐습니다. 이 보고서는 유엔기후변화협약 사무국의 제출 권고에 따라 작성됐습니다.
Hospitals have been shelled in Sudan as fighting between the army and a paramilitary group continues, with patients appealing for safe passage as gun battles rage in the city.
수단에서 군벌 간 유혈 충돌이 이어지면서 다수의 현지 병원이 포격을 받았습니다. 치열해지는 교전 가운데 환자들은 안전한 곳으로 대피시켜줄 것을 호소했습니다.
Hundreds of teenagers stormed the streets of downtown Chicago over the weekend, smashing car windows and attacking bystanders, as a social media-fueled event called Teen Takeover spiraled out of control, resulting in 2 people shot and 15 arrested.
지난 주말 미국 시카고 도심 번화가에 수백 명의 10대 청소년들이 한꺼번에 몰려들어 차창을 깨고 행인을 공격하는 등의 난동을 부렸습니다. 소셜미디어에서 계획된 틴 테이크오버 이벤트로 시작된 이 소요로 2명이 총에 맞고 15명이 체포됐습니다.
Italian police have seized around 2 tons of cocaine that was found floating off the coast of Sicily in one of the country's largest ever finds of illegal drugs, with officials putting the haul's street value at more than 400 million euros.
이탈리아 경찰이 시칠리아 섬 앞바다에서 2톤에 달하는 역대 최대 규모의 코카인을 수거했습니다. 이를 시가로 환산하면 4억 유로, 우리 돈으로 약 5,700억 원이 넘는 것으로 전해졌습니다. And those are today's headlines. Morning Headline Expressions. To be eligible for something means
You've met the requirements.
you can be eligible for a job.
Eligible for a job, right? Yeah, a lot of times there's some qualifications,
Yeah.
right? So you need to have those, and if you meet those qualifications, you fulfill the requirements, then you're eligible to apply for the job.
Yep, and certain automakers are eligible for these tax credits or tax benefits.
Right, consumers will be eligible for them
right.
if they purchase
That
certain
car,
cars.
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
That's right.
Eligible for something, 뭐뭐 할 자격이 있다라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. The next one is in accordance with something.
And we're usually talking about in accordance with a law or in accordance with some recommendations, and it means you follow those. You follow the law, you follow the recommendations, you obey it.
Yeah.
Do as it says.
Yes, that's right. In accordance with something. 무언가에 따라서 무언가에 부합된다라는 의미가 있죠. So if you say in accordance with the UN framework on whatever, then that means it has to follow that.
Exactly.
The guidelines and the rules.
That's right. Guidelines, rules, these are all the things that you could do something in accordance with.
Yep. The next one is safe passage.
Right. So in this case, we're usually talking about in some kind of in war zones, right, where civilians need to get out. They need to exit the fighting zone, the war zone,
Yeah.
so they have a safe way out. In Ukraine, they talked a lot about humanitarian corridors at one time.
Yep.
That would be the same thing.
Yes. safe passage는 안전한 통과라는 뜻인데요. 지금 이 경우에는 수단에서 지금 뭐 총격전이 벌어지고 지금 여러 가지 폭격들이 있고 이러다 보니까 병원에 있는 환자들이 우리는 좀 안전하게 대피할 수 있게 해달라 이런 얘기를 하는 거죠. Let us, pass through this safely.
Right.
Is what they're saying.
Stop fighting and
Yeah.
allow
Yeah.
civilians to get out.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
continue fighting.
그 다음 표현은요. takeover였습니다.
Ooh, a takeover is when one group or one person gets control from somebody else. And it usually has the connotation that you've taken control, perhaps by force. Or in the corporate world, a lot of times you'll hear of hostile takeovers where one company takes over another company,
Yeah.
but the company that's being taken over didn't want to, so the other company kind of forced it on them.
Yeah, and talking about jobs, a person could take over someone else's
Yeah, and then
position.
in that case, it might not be nefarious at all. They
No,
might
no.
just, the management's decided to change something. So,
exactly.
I've taken over this person's job.
takeover가 정말 많은 뜻이 있는데 기업의 인수가 될 수도 있고요. 그다음에 어떤 직업을 인계할 때 쓸 수도 있고 그다음에 이제 이 경우에는 장악이라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. Team takeover. 10대들이 뭐 이 도시를 장악하자라는 그런 이벤트가 있었다라고 하는데 it just spiraled out of control,
it sure
didn't it?
did, right. It was
Ooh.
chaotic.
It was. The final one is to seize something.
To seize what those teenagers were trying to do was basically seize control of parts of downtown Chicago so they could just do whatever they wanted, run amok. So when you seize something, you take control of it. Or take possession of it. A lot of the times it's by force. So police will seize something. A lot of times, they're only going to seize illegal things.
Right.
Right? So drugs or weapons or something that's been stolen.
seize control이라고 하면은 이제 통제권을 손에 쥐는 거죠. 근데 그냥 seize something이라고 했을 때는 무언가를 압수하다의 의미가 강한데 이 경우에는 좀 구체적으로 말하자면은 바다에 떠다니는 걸 발견한 코케인을 수거한 의미가 물론 이 안에 있습니다만 그래도 이제 압수라는 단어를 썼습니다. seize. 자, 이렇게 오늘 헤드라인에 나온 표현들 리뷰해봤습니다. 모닝 헤드라인 익스프레션스는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣기 하실 수 있어요.